Hello everyone. So now in today's video, as you may have guessed, we are now on the test server. So first of all, in this video, we will be looking at the new UI. So now if you go to your on duty menu, it's completely different. So now you can see I can choose between tank and DPS. So this part of the role will change depending on whether you're a troller, healer, okay? And now you have a few options. You can go to latest episodes, omnibus, and solos. So now let's check out the latest episodes. Here you have a choice between 38, 39, 40 and onwards. 41 will show once you have listened to the message and walk to the appropriate open mode, which is the House of Legends. Now if you go back, and then here we have the omnibus. So now this is a random queue, okay? So it'll go through all of this content and see whichever one pops up for you. All right, duos, alerts, then all the raids as well, okay? And now if you go to solos, here you can go through the solos as well. That's all the solos in the game, okay? So from tier 1 all the way up to the highest tier. Then here you have custom play. So if you do want to go to the old UI, all you do is press custom play, and then you have your relevant menus. Okay, so here you have the events, 1 player, 2 player, 4 player, 8 player, and over and so on. So if you do want to get to the PvP menus, that is how you would do it. Okay, then all you do is press the X button, and it goes back to the new UI. I'm not sure if they will change this part of the UI as of yet, but we will see. So this is what you are shown once you log in. Okay, so let's look at Omnibus. So here you can see the rewards you will get for completing any one of these. If I start the queue, pick a role. So now, okay, so I need to go back and pick a role, which I did not do. So select damage, and then I go back to Omnibus, ready up. Now it's finding a match out of all of these options all at once. So whichever pops up, it will allow me to enter the content. So as of right now, I do not believe anyone is on the test server. So that is a new UI so far. And just one more thing that I do need to mention, I'm going to quickly switch to my display capture. And that I do need to not let you guys know is, so that is a new UI. Now with the omnibus, that changes a bit. So if you go to where is it gone? Early, there we go, early end game. So just a few things to go through. So end game tiers have been reconfigured. There are now 6 tiers on on duty access content has been organized into these tiers. So if you're CR30, tier 1, CR60, tier 2, and so on, and the tier 6 is episodes 38, 39, and 40. Contents maintain existing CR requirements for the time being, so this will obviously change. So early to end content on duty menu and open roles is now set up to scale players who are outside the range of content. Players below the combat rating of the content are now scaled up to the floor. Players that are at the combat rating of the content are not scaled. Players that are above the combat rating of the content are scaled down to the ceiling. Okay, so league buff, skill points, artifacts, allies, which is a new system, by the way, to improve you beyond scaled stat values and have a proportional return so that you will still receive a worthy benefit from those. Remember, the scaling does not occur in the 3 newest episodes, which at the moment are Wonderverse, Long Live the Legion, and Word of Flashpoint. And furthermore, players receive a passive buff when in normal mode, early end game content, instance content, but not in elite mode. So even in the raids, okay, now you will receive a passive buff. So players scaled up to the floor of the content receive the biggest buff. players that are at the level receive the less above, and players that are scaled to the ceiling, which means they're over the CR, receive the smallest buff possible. So unbalanced groups in alerts for players' operations no longer receive the roller's buffs in early and instant contents. The roller's buff is still applied in the latest three episodes, episode floor player content, and also now in open worlds for those 3 episodes. So the 3 episodes they're on about are these. So mission journal have their own combat rating / levels updated to correspond with new tiers. So if you go back to the test server, so if I go back and go to custom play, you can see now if I go to any of these here, you can see there is nothing there. All it says is requires 30% combat rating, 60 plus combat rating, tier 3 is 100, tier 4 is 150, and tier 5 is 210. Doesn't matter how far you go, tier 5 will be 210 combat rating, and then tier 6 is between 299 and 331. So here you can see a few things change. So now if you're between these CRs, you get source marks, splintered coin, loot items. If you're above that CR, you get splintered coins and loot items. So as of right now, these are the latest 3 episodes. Okay, so Flash to the Future, FV, and then long live the Legion. Then of course Wonderverse. Okay, now back to the notes. So now here we have currently disabled missions that point players to different episodes, instance, and open worlds are now granted by new missions. This is just disabled. Currently, players won't receive this pointer mission for early end content at this time. So there are some things which have not been added yet. There are no longer alerts available to players who are below level 30. The 2 alerts didn't have a hard mode. Level 30 plus version are now set up as early end game alerts. And just one thing to note, there are no longer novice raids. So before you had options like novice raids in tier 1 and 2, these have now gone. Certain alerts have been streamlined, whereby the objective counts within them have been reduced so they don't take as long. So these include Bloodhaven, Gorilla Island, and Area 51. Okay, now early end game content that spawns in Metropolis and Gotham has been adjusted so it's completable by players as soon as the players are able to get the missions which lead to them. So these missions entitled Threat in South Gotham, Deconstruction, South Gotham Agenda, and all of these, okay, so which are now playable by 30 plus CR players, Virtues of Vices, which are 60 CR plus players can play. Similarly, episode 6, aka Home Turf, open world content that goes to Arkham Asylum and so on, which now can be completed by 60 CR plus players. Before, okay, so existing teleporters in Watchtower and Hall of Doom, which allow access to locations associated with early end game content, now have CR requirements corresponding to the tier updates which I was talking about before. Okay, so mechanical gear vendor has been removed from all safe houses, the Watchtower and the Hall of Doom. Instead, players will be able to get what they need to advance through early end game content from Tempus Fuginaut in the House of Legends. So now this guy here will have all those items that you need. Loot locks have been removed from early end game instance content. So okay, so anything that is in the last 3 episodes, there's no loot locks on them anymore. The current event mode and seasonal content is now granted and accessible to players that when they're either level 20 instead of level 14, or when they finish Reap What You Sow Hero or the Frustrating Response Villain mission. All early endgame content and open world content will reward source marks regardless of CR. So that is really good. and offer choices loot including scaling gear, which help players progress their CR 30 all the way to the CR needed to access the latest episode. That is cool. So now let's have a look at the House of Legends very briefly and speak to the guy. Okay. So the guy that we need to look at is Tempus Vendor. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Let's look at the Tempus Vendor. So I believe this is all for the UI version of the video. But let's take a quick look at this guy.
Heroes and villains, you must prepare for the trials to come. I am needed elsewhere. Harbinger, introduce our guests to Tempus Fuginaut and show them around my House of Legends.
On your orders.
Start with Tempus Fuginaut, guardian of the Orrery of Worlds.
So here it is taking us directly to the vendor we need, or the person that will have all of your items that you will use a lot. So this is a guy right here. So this is the guy I was on about.
I open the way to important locations across time and space. For most of your journey, I will have the perfect equipment for you. I hope to see you often.
There we go. So now this is the what is it called? Where is it gone? So this is the mechanical gear vendor, but it has now been renamed in the Tempus inside the new House of Legends. So here you can see I can get all of the items I need from the previous episodes all the way down to the lowest CR, which is all the way down here at item level 55. And I can also go through the tiers, so tier 2, tier 3, 4, 5, 6, and then yeah, cool. So and then also you have Dr. Fate, I believe, daily reward vendor.
Lords of Order, grant us your favor.
At the moment there's nothing here because I have not done any of the missions to able to see the vendor, or they have not added anything on there. So here you have the PvP and PvE vendors as well. Okay, so that is all for the video. Thank you for watching. If you do have any questions about what I've shown you so far, and leave me a comments in the comment section, I will do my best to answer them for you.